too busy funking out.
I love our
Almost
intro.
forgot we were going to be
I
doing
love
a
our
show.
intro.
Everybody says that. And then I always say, I'm going to make it short, and everybody complains. Don't
No,
do that.
don't
Don't do that.
Shorten that shit
Don't
up.
do that. Don't do that.
How you doing, buddy?
Good, man. How are you?
I'm doing good, man.
Welcome to the Old Stoney's podcast here on talkcastpdx.com. And, of course, you can catch the audio portion of the show at talkcastpdx.com or wherever you listen to podcasts. A friend of mine sent me a note the other day. He said, hey, man, my little Spotify thing just went off. I see there's a new episode of the Old Stonies.
That's awesome.
I started laughing. I was just like, because he did it with the act, took a little video.
That's rad.
That's pretty funny. I was like,
check that out.
Thanks, man. Thanks, man. Appreciate that. But we do want you to go to talkcastpdx.com, check out all the past episodes of the Old Stonies podcast. Also home of other great programs.
There's a lot on there. There's a lot of content.
Channel Weird with Clyde Lewis. He's cannabis friendly.
Yes.
Citizen Smith. He's pretty much cannabis friendly. Who else? What else? There's a ton of shows. I like the new. There's a new one called the Chef's Stable podcast.
I haven't checked
that one out. It's about the restaurant
yet.
Industry and business. The host is Kurt Huffman. Pretty good. You should check it out if you're into the restaurant scene.
And there's a big one in Portland.
Yeah, there is a big one.
We're kind of a foodie place.
We were going to have two guests on the show today, but one guest just before airtime reached out and said they can't make it today. That's okay. We'll get Rue next time.
Yep, we'll come around on
it. But we'll talk about the project that, because you and I were talking about the Home Growers Cup last week. Remember, we were like,
we were just talking about
there should be something for home growers. Well, there is.
I know. That was insane when you showed me that.
I was thrown off a little bit, but Rue sent us some information, and we're going to have Ryan Herron here from the Loud 100. If you follow him on Instagram at the Loud 100, he's going to be here just in moments.
Right on.
And we're going to chat with him. He was in the bullpen warming up. He was supposed to come in after Rue.
Stepped you up a little bit.
But Rue, the website is growyour4.com. Growyour4.com.
As in the 4 plants you get to grow.
And he explains it to me. He says this is a gathering of the local cannabis community to have fun, highlight Oregon's homegrown scene, and especially to show strong bonds as we forge ahead in this future of cannabis. Ryan Herron just walked into the studio, just so you know. Come on in and sit down, my friend. We're just getting things started. But, so we were going to talk all about this event and how it came together and all this stuff, but he can't make it. Yeah, he'll be here next Wednesday.
Yeah. When we did our nug swap, that's what kind of sparked that idea. It was like just having a bunch of dudes coming in and gals showing, this is what I did and here's what I grew, and everyone gets to come around and try some of it out and just, how'd you do that, or how'd you grow this, or what'd you do when it rained that day?
Yeah.
Just it just coming together and talking about the plant that we love.
Absolutely. Ryan, welcome.
Yeah, how's it going, guys?
Everybody, if you don't know, Ryan Herron at the Loud 100. Also, looks like you're representing the Leaf today.
Yeah. Just came back from a big harvest tour down Southern Oregon, so I thought it's a good day to rep the hat for sure.
Well, we were going to have Rue on from, I don't know if you remember, local smoke radio down there.
Yeah, for sure.
Southern Oregon.
Nice.
Well, he's not doing that right now. He's working growyour4.com.
Cool.
And they were putting on a Home Growers Cup.
Very cool.
And we were going to talk all about the different, all the categories, what they were going to, how it was going to happen, and so on and so forth. But he couldn't make it today. We got a little last minute thing, which is okay. So he'll be on next week. So you get to hang out. We'll talk about homegrown and home growers and all that good stuff and community and how tight knit it can be.
All right.
I mean, a lot of people grow weed. Let's
just
jump right into it.
A lot of people in my neighborhood grow weed.
I'll give more details on the homegrown cup information, but let's just go right into the home growing scene. I mean, we always talk about, what dispensaries we like and where we go and what we do, but
where does this all come from? This came from the homes.
Yeah, we don't talk a lot about the people growing their goods at home.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know a lot of people who do.
Well, I do.
Which is funny. I know you guys probably do, but I mean, I don't. My circle is not quite.
I mean, I grow myself.
My circle is usually not quite in that scene.
Yeah.
I can't come to some of my buddies and go, "Hey, man, check out the size of these plants I grow." I mean, they would be like, "Oh yeah, big deal."
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
Well,
right next to your corn. Good job, or whatever.
I think that's the way to do it too. I mean, because you can have your 4 plants, that's pretty cool, right? You can have some monsters too. And I know in my neighborhood, you can kind of point out the houses because the plants at this point are kind of sticking out above the fence, and maybe they've put some like kind of rain gear over it. But yeah, that's kind of cool just to see like, oh yeah, there are more neighbors than you think growing weed and just taking advantage of, oh hey, I can grow my 4 plants, even if it's not great. It's a fun garden plant, to just grow in and see it stack up and take on all these colors and scents and everything. It's pretty neat.
Yeah, back in the day we used to have, when it was just medical, some of these guys are growing quite a few plants in people's backyards. I had friends of mine that called me up and was like, the hell's that smell? And I'm like, well, that's weed. That's fresh cut weed. And it's like, how long is this going to last for? And I'm like, a couple more weeks and it should be kind of toning down a little bit. But I it's a little pungent out there in the Pacific Northwest this time of year.
Yeah. Back when things were still under prohibition to some degree, I mean, I still think we're under prohibition a little bit.
Sure.
But I could always go through my neighborhood and point out the people growing weed because for one, their attic, the roofs would be dry.
Oh yeah.
Everybody else is, wet, especially after it snows or whatever.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, that guy's growing weed. He has to be. Then you see the cars. There was always those issues of traffic, and when you pushing weight back then, that's what you had to deal with. But you could always find the home growers.
I had a funny situation when I moved into my new house. We're getting everything unpacked, and wife and I have been together. She knows I smoke weed, but it's never been an issue as far as the smell. And then one day I go out in the garage and it fucking reeks like weed. And I can't, my wife comes into me and says, what'd you do? Like, what do you mean? I didn't do anything. She goes, well, go out in the garage. It smells like I'm going out. I'm unscrewing all the jars and screwing them back together and trying to figure out where all this is at. Well, then I go across the street to meet my neighbor, and there's just rows of drying weed. I'm like, son of a bitch.
That's where it was.
I mean, first of all, this is awesome, but man, I just took a bunch of heat. It wasn't even my fault.
That's awesome. But going back to how easy is it to grow weed at home? I mean, you got to have seeds. You got to know certain things. I mean,
got to have the space.
I mean, I know there's lots of materials for people to read out there. I mean, I know Jeff Lowenfels has a book on growing cannabis at home, which is a great book. You can get it on Amazon, I believe.
Yep. There are some really good online.
But is there anybody targeting the home grower? I mean, it seems like it's all consumption. Right. Nobody's talking about getting people to actually grow weed.
YouTube and Reddit, I think, are really great communities for people who are kind of doing the home grow thing, right? And it's really easy to get caught up in these huge recreational grows where people have like dosatrons and it's all controlled by a computer. I really think some of the best weed I've ever come across was somebody's personal stash that they grew outside or in a little greenhouse or maybe even in their basement. And I think that sort of luxury of like when you're putting your name on something because this is only going to friends and family, that's all there is, right? You're going to want to produce really quality stuff, right? Something you kind of brag about rather than like, well, okay, the light bill was $15,000 this month. Like we got to get these pounds out the door anyway.
There's a slight difference between, well, and you just got back from Southern Oregon right in the middle of Croptober. So you've been looking at fields and fields. There's a slight difference between taking care of 1,000 plants and 4.
Yes.
You really can pay attention to 4 plants and really put all your love and attention into that kind of stuff. So
you can go and handpick the caterpillars off 4 plants, right?
Yeah, I didn't even think about that.
But there's one of the resources that I started to use before any of this stuff got really popular was, and it's an old website straight out of the year 2000. It's called growweedeasy.com. And it is full of really, really good articles, manifolding, different types of pruning techniques, and a plant diagnostic tool that like I have yellow spots, my leaves are curling, and it'll narrow down to what's wrong with your plant and how to fix it. It's a wonderful, covers everything from popping seeds to curing.
What's it called again?
Growweedeasy.com.
All right, that's it. Tonight, we'll see you guys later. The show's over.
Go check it out. Go check it out.
I
stumbled across it one day, and I've been using it for about 6 years now, and it's great.
Wow.
Great. And it's old. It's like Napster back in the 90s. It's old.
It is just a plant, right? Not a lot has changed, even though a lot has changed.
Oh no, yeah, they do update their stuff, and I just don't think the dude has time to make it all. Websites, fancy.
Yeah, they change all the time. They're always.
So go check out that website. It's really good.
There we go. Have you guys messed with auto flowers at all? I've seen people have success with that. Yeah,
I was just gonna say there should be a section when you go into a dispensary. It's like grow your own, for the genetics. Try auto flowers, try this, try that. One thing I always liked about Oregon's Finest is they always had a lot of selection of seeds.
Yeah,
you could buy seeds there and clones too, but you could always buy seeds.
Yeah,
and there was always some cool seeds. Some of them were pretty damn expensive, but
they were worth it.
They were totally worth it.
Yeah,
if you can, and I remember buying some autoflower seeds, and I did grow a couple plants in my backyard. They didn't get very big, but they did bud and they did their thing, and they didn't get attacked by insects. They were just in pots. So.
I was babysitting.
It wasn't very good weed. It was probably like 10%. I mean, by the time
I was babysitting some autoflower for a customer who was growing them on a deck in the Pearl. In one of those big, huge high rises. I'm not even going to go there.
Awesome.
Nice.
Oh my God. It was so funny.
Just
Gertrude, out there, just look.
Gertrude and Beatrice, you're taking care of all the plants.
He had his shrubbery all the way around the deck and they don't get that big.
Yeah, they don't.
They are perfect for apartments. It's just the smell you got to worry about.
Bonsai weed almost.
Yeah, it really has that kind of vibe to it. And, a few years ago, I think that the autoflower you'd see, it always looked kind of larfy and not that interesting.
Yeah.
Now, especially in our area, people have done breeding and brought in these like cookies lines and other things that is really top tier dispensary shelf type stuff. And bred it to these autoflowers that are a lot easier to take care of. You don't have to drag tarps or anything. And so some of the flowers I saw today, I think that if the flower was cured and in a bag and on a jar on a shelf, you would pay top shelf for it, not even knowing that it was a lot easier to deal with than full grown 20 feet tall plants or whatever.
And what you just brought up, I think is interesting for growers. What are some of the pitfalls of growing in the Pacific Northwest, especially this far north? Going down south, we're in the sweet zone of the Emerald Triangle where we have, it's perfect. You harvest in late November, but up here,
moisture.
I mean, today we're in a cloudy day. The humidity's way up, and
already.
I can just feel the mold coming on.
I know, right? And these big, gnarly buds that you see, like Instagram worthy nugs, in this kind of weather, once you tear into them, they might just be full of mold, and you have no idea otherwise.
Goddamn caterpillars are crawling through. It can be really tricky and heartbreaking to grow.
Actually, it can be, even for the big manufacturers, you can get funky stuff. I mean, I'll go back 5 years. I had a batch of fine organic cannabis from a farm down in Canby. I mean, and I used to go through it. I had to inspect it.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
And I remember going through it at one time, and there was this just awesome bud. I mean, it was probably Durban poison. And I opened it up, and there's a ladybug in there. and you could tell that he died happy. And he'd been there forever, because, he was just there taking care of business, keeping people away from it.
Right.
He just got caught. And that was the only time I've ever had anything that happen. Right. But it was just like, oh, that's kind of funny.
And that wasn't a problem. That was something that was introduced into the farm as an integrated pest management system.
I just always found it kind of funny.
But and we can't use pesticides for that reason.
It's like finding a cricket in your bag of salad that you buy at the grocery store.
Right. It's a little gross, but it's also like, well, hey, at least this is actually growing somewhere. Yeah.
My mom used to tell me the caterpillars in the corn were a delicacy back in Minnesota.
Oh, my God.
She could have been bullshitting me. No idea.
Ryan's from the Midwest. He's like, that's bullshit.
Yeah, that's probably bullshit.
Come on, man.
That's how she got me to eat corn, though.
Yeah. But I think if dispensaries and, I think there's an active campaign to get people to grow their own cannabis. I mean, I don't think farms and certain companies will get behind that because, of course, they want people to buy their product. But I look at it as like beer. Some people like to make their own beer, but they still buy beer. They still buy,
Oh, yeah. If anything, it's going to make you better appreciate what you can go and buy, right?
Yeah.
You can say, look, my blood, sweat, and tears went into this bag. And then also, if I wanted to stop at the dispensary on the way home and support my favorite farm, I can do that, right?
And it's like, if you had somebody actually start growing it, caring for it, trimming it, the whole 9 yards, you're not going to you won't be going into a dispensary looking for 30% THC at $5 a gram. You're just like, I wouldn't do that to myself. I've actually gone through this bullshit, and now I know why it costs so much.
I told Matt I stopped by a dispensary in Hillsboro. Just it's one a chain that I normally go to from time to time, but their special was a $2 joint. I was like, how the hell do you get to a $2 joint?
Cut it open. You'll find out real quick.
I wasn't even going to mess with it. I was
trim,
just like,
buddy.
holy cow, $2 joint. It was like 24%. And it was some,
I've heard of A's and B's, but these are like G's in here.
Something purple is, typical.
Well, you know what? You want a real $2 joint, and that's the homegrown one. That's the one that you grew or your neighbor grew
the homegrown
and brought that
joint.
over. Like, everyone jokes that in Oregon, in every October, your neighbors bring you like a big bag of weed that they didn't want to trim, right? They're like, oh, here you go. Candy wrappers are still on it. And, hey, that might last you till December when you decide, I don't know if this is cutting it anymore.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, so I think companies would be wise to maybe focus on some kind of home grow program where, you can grow your 4. I think 4 is not enough. I think 6 would be perfect.
Yeah, that'd be good.
I think 4 is just enough to keep people satisfied.
Well, Geek Farms had their own grow store for a while, but didn't have the support.
Well, and one, I think, reason they did that is because that was during the transition from medical to recreational, and there was, a big gap in stuff. So they were like, well, shit, we'll just open the grow store until we can get things back together, which is a good idea. But I would like to see a grow store open that focuses on cannabis.
Yeah.
One thing that I've always wanted to see, the accessibility. We always talk about accessibility in the cannabis market. And if you do not own your own home, you pretty much can't grow weed unless you got a really cool landlord, especially in an apartment.
Unless your landlord says, yeah. Okay.
But we do have a lot of empty buildings. It'd be really cool to see like a collective growing in the indoor where people could come in and rent out a space and have lights and grow their own shit.
That's a good idea.
For people that can't in the city, that would be a little bit
just
more
like those wineries and breweries they have where people just rent a little space and
rooftop collective garden. No shade up on the top of the skyscrapers. We could grow some damn fine weed up there. You know what I'm saying?
Get it going in the realm of community gardens.
Yeah, exactly.
Do it on veggies and your cannabis,
and do it in the major population centers so people can just walk out their door, go to their grow building, and grow whatever.
I'm going to play devil's advocate
but
here.
We could even do it for food.
I'm going to play devil's advocate and say, man, you're setting yourself up for some crime.
You got security.
Yeah, and that's why it's on the roof.
That's right.
Yeah, you
I can just see some chumps climbing the roof. I can see chumps climbing the roof or breaking in, and I with the way crime is right now in the Rose City, we got like 5 people getting shot every day or some shit like that.
Well, I'll counter you. Most of the people living in apartments are pretty safe, and I think they're worth more than any weed you can grow. So I think you'd be all right.
There you go.
Yeah.
People live in those buildings. I think we can live in those buildings.
Yeah. Well, in Applegate and down south, the weed farms are so prevalent. You can just see them all from the road. Just they're all over the place. And then you bring up Google Maps, you can see even more from the sides of the road that are just a little behind the trees, right? And I think they kind of do the model there a little bit where it's like, okay, we're going to put up as many fences as we can. We're going to get pushback, so it's hard for people to get out here. And just, there might be a couple of plants right by the gate that didn't get a lot of love. Yep. And it's like, if somebody wants to stick their hand over the fence and grab something, well, that's over there in the corner for them. You know what I mean? Like, we don't have that luxury here with 4 plants.
The larf line. Everything on the fence line is larfy. It's just crap. So that way, just keep everything right there.
That's horrible. I did see some YouTube videos. Some guy that caught, they had cameras on their plants, and some asshole walked in and yanked them up and took them off for his own.
Get that everywhere.
And it's going to happen just about everywhere.
Yeah, wait till the mafia gets into the weed business.
I think they're out of the weed business now.
Probably already in it. Well, they just busted a big farm in North Plains. I don't know if you guys saw this.
Oh, $100 million. Yeah.
Wow. Huge house. And
talk about home grow.
Yeah, that's the biggest
that's
home
too
grow
much.
I've ever seen. But that stuff was going all over the country. That's the only reason they were able to bust that place. Because they were growing so much. And, where's it going? It's got to be going somewhere.
Oh, I'll tell you, go to Ontario, Oregon. I can tell you where all the weed in
Oh
Oregon's
my
going.
gosh. Idaho.
Idaho.
Welcome to Idaho.
It's like, Idaho, I know you guys don't like weed, but fuck, are you guys missing out on a lot of money?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but
What is
y'all are
Idaho?
broke
The
as a
gem
state.
Is it the gem state?
They're the fucking broke state. Don't ever need any help out there. There's no services for shit. They could really use that cash.
My cousin has a cabin in Dixie, Idaho, and it's freaking awesome there. They have their own airstrip. They fly in.
Oh, it's
wow.
That's the way to do it, man.
Beautiful
Yeah.
country.
Nobody
really
bothering
is.
you.
Who needs roads?
Yeah, who needs roads?
Right.
So back to home growing. The regulations say 4 plants, right, per household. Now, do we know? I didn't research this before. I should have probably. I thought I was going to be talking to somebody about the Home Growers Cup, but when you're growing your 4 at home, can they all be flowering? I mean, can they all be like,
oh yeah,
pumped up? Because in Alaska you can have 6, but like 2 of them can't be. They have to be like maturing. They have to be in certain states.
Here's the really crappy thing. I think, and I don't know if this is still true, but medical patients have to register their own home grows with the state. I don't know what happened with that, but they were talking about having to report how much flour they took in per plant and all this other stuff. And
Gotcha.
I always got the feeling they were trying to get people to drop out of the medical program, but because medical is how we kind of got to recreational. They were growing up to 99 plants per card. That was the federal tick. You go over that and you really start catching people's attention. But that's how a few of our earlier farms were surviving during the medical days, where they'd have like 12 cards to be able to do up to a certain amount of plants per card.
Okay, yeah, that's interesting.
But anyways, I digress.
Yeah, so
no, that's great though, because it came from home growers, right? Everyone here was either growing in their backyard for them and their friends, or trying to do a little side hustle. I really don't think Oregon had a ton of these gigantic farms that were like feeding everything on.
Not at least up in our area. The less populated areas, I could see that happening.
Right. Yeah, that was happening, but not on the scale I think people mostly imagined. Right. In Oregon, it was mostly like, hey, yeah, I grow these like 5 plants in my backyard, right? Yeah. Every season, and then that became the medical program, right? Where they made it fairly easy to find somebody, a caregiver or a grower, and they could cover so many patients. I think you said 12. That
something
sounds
like
right
that,
to me, right? And then they could produce, hey, now my 5 plants is going to become 20 and I've got space for it and I'm producing for these people, right? And then that really rolled into the rec program we have today, where they said, hey, look, we are not going to affect the med program as it exists. We want that to keep going. We want patients to be provided by growers. And then, like you said, they've continued to add restrictions to make that more difficult. Right.
I had friends of mine with medical cards back in the day who would take their extra weed and go to a dispensary. It wasn't a legal dispensary. Remember, there's the gray market days.
Yeah.
But they'd say, hey, here's a bag of my stuff. And the guy would look at it and say, all right, I'll give you $1,200. Here's, for a pound. And that's how it used to be done. No testing.
I like
nothing.
That,
yeah.
I mean, I like
until we
testing.
found out some of the shit that was going in the weed.
I like testing. It depends on who you're dealing with.
I'm all for clean medicine. That's all I got to say.
So home growers in Southern Oregon. So I just, since Rue couldn't come on the show, I want to just hit up his, so you can go to growyour4.com if you're interested in checking out, all the different things that they're going to be judging for. I'll have a list here in a minute, but the 2021 Southern Oregon Home Growers Cup. So, and it's going to be going down December 15th. Got to get the submissions going now.
You could submit all the way up to December 15th too, right?
Pinnacle Analytics is going to be doing the testing.
Great.
And the categories are outdoor/greenhouse, and then indoor, low THC /hemp, solventless hash, and then they have a breeder's cup. And it's blind judging, so that's good. I like the blind judging thing, because then you don't have to. And then of course they'll have celebrity judges. I don't know who the celebrities are going to be.
It's us.
I don't think it's us.
We're not celebrities.
No, we're old Stonies. That's what we are. But I guess they'll have some people there, and it's limited entry, so the people need to get it in. And then an awards party, I guess, in January. So they have till the 15th to get their submissions.
Have either of you guys judged a Cannabis Cup before?
Yeah, once.
How do you deal with all those samples? Obviously, you can't try everything on the same day because you're just gonna.
Well, Ryan, you did. What was the last one you did? Was
we've done Cultivation Classic
Cultivation
a few years while that was going.
I did
that was really nice.
I did that one once in the first year.
It's like one of the few things in the industry I just haven't been involved with, so I'm always curious.
Yeah,
about
so
that stuff.
my process when I'm judging is, I wake up, wake and bake, have like 2 glasses of water and drink my coffee and then kind of settle in and then see what I have to choose from because there's a lot of shit in there.
Yeah.
I mean, like there was like 20 something strains of cannabis and I had solvent hash and all this shit. I'm just like, holy shit.
Yeah. When I'm doing a review, I have 1 farm per month. You know what I mean? And that's all I have to deal with.
So
and again,
first I would take whatever bag and Ryan might do this too, but I would take it out of whatever it was in.
Yeah.
Let it sit, breathe for a second. Then I would smell it and kind of play with it. And then I would just take one little toke and I would just put it in my bong. Take
just
a toke,
little Percy, right? Just personal.
I want to taste it and I want to feel just enough. If enough is enough is enough. You don't need
clean bong, clean water, right? Got to have it fresh,
clean
taste.
And then I would probably wait an hour and a half and then try another one. I would wait time in between. I want to feel the different effects and different.
Right. So you looked at it.
It took me like 3 or 4 to 5
mm-hmm.
days to get through everything. I was like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get through everything.
Yeah. I was watching a documentary and this young lady was just, she lagged on it, smoked all 20 entries in one sitting.
Gotcha.
And I'm just like, that's not fair. It's not fair. If I went through all that effort, I would want somebody like you who would take a week, to go through everything,
and clean your palate.
Yeah, I would even go as far as possibly changing because I've had some dabs where like the water's tainted, dude.
Oh,
you breathe it in, and you're still tasting the dab. You got to wash all the water out and redo it. I mean, I've had it happen to me for some of my reviews.
Oh, wow.
It's like I'm still tasting the last stuff I just tried, so now I had to clean everything out.
Right. Well, and I really
what do you go through?
Well, I same thing, right? Same style. Give yourself a moment. Try and make it like your first smoke of the day. For me, I'm going to smoke 5 times
to be
a day,
right. Yeah, but the first one's that bell ringer.
Yeah,
okay.
Then I'm like, okay, and other than that, you're only going to realize that something like cuts through the other stuff you've been smoking.
Exactly.
Right, which is worth noting, but also not the most important thing. Right.
Right.
And then I kind of prefer a joint. Give me the whole experience. Right. I do feel like the best way to taste something. This kind of goes back to the home grow thing. Right. You can go and get a couple of sample nugs a little early before the whole plant is ready.
Right.
And just let it dry out a little bit. And like you said, a bong snap, like a quick clean water, just enough for one hit right there.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's going to give you the best idea of where your weed is at, as far as
especially at the peak of it. Yeah. Because you're getting all the terpenes that haven't quite evaporated off during the drying process.
Totally.
It's a little bit closer to fresh frozen. I mean, not fresh frozen, but just fresh.
Yeah. I mean, if at that point it's only been curing for a couple days while you just take it down, a little taste of a taste. I've heard of other people microwave drying their weed.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I don't know about this, right? But you just take
a
couple of buds. This is from a fresh plant. Garden fresh plant and throwing it in there for 15 seconds and letting some of that moisture evaporate. Now, I imagine that is just going to destroy the weed, but I guess
the terpenes are so volatile.
Yeah.
And
you're killing it. Yeah.
You are steaming. You're steaming your weed.
Yeah.
And you're forcing the it's just going to blow all the terpenes out. I'm telling you, just from an extracting side of things when I used to no.
Yeah, at that point you're probably destroying the cannabinoids too. I don't even stay away from that, but give it that quick cure, and you can get a little.
So when you're doing when you were doing your judging, what was part of your process? Anything different? I mean, I kind of explained mine a little bit.
Oh, for sure. No, the same thing. I have my my chart that I designed back in 2016 or whatever.
Right on.
He comes with a chart. He's coming hard to the paint with a chart.
Correct.
Exactly. Right. So I get out my spreadsheets, literally. And it's really fun because, everything is labeled 8761 with that particular competition, right? So you're really coming to it with okay, I don't know what this is. I might guess that there's some glue in there, or you smell some terpenoline. You're maybe there's some jack. But just like you said, just give it the time that it needs and let it breathe and kind of get in there.
So you're trying to do some detective work with your nose and trying to see, okay, maybe I smell this, or this. How many criteria are on this spreadsheet of yours?
Oh, just 5, and then some space for some notes, right? So it's, you're going to do the aroma, the taste, a little dry hit before you light it, right? That kind of thing. So,
right.
And then I really like then revisiting it later, even if you don't smoke it. just grabbing that same sample, crumble it up in front of your nose.
Yeah.
I think that's helpful. If you're instead of smoking all 20 at once, maybe just go through and get your notes on all 20 at once and then give them all their own time to
Good
smoke.
advice.
And then you can come back to it.
That's good advice. I
That's
really like the way that
advice.
happens.
Plus, you get to play with your weed even more.
Yeah.
Who doesn't like to play with their weed?
That's good advice. That's good advice. This Home Growers Cup, I'll reach back out next week. We'll have Rue on, and we'll go a little more in depth on how they came about and putting it all together and how hard that was and everything like that. Maybe we can do something like that up here. Maybe we do.
I think it'd be really cool. We could even do a North versus South, and have a little battle royale with it. We can have some fun.
North versus South Portland. Okay.
Who grows the best weed in Portland outside?
I'm
with you there.
It doesn't have to be outside.
East versus West.
I gotta tell you, it's got to be South Portland. I can smell it out there right now. Like my wife is like, "What is that?" I'm like, "That's somebody drying weed," just like you said.
Right. Well,
my wife, why are all the skunks? Those aren't skunks.
Those are not skunks. I think I told you about my neighbor the one time. He thought I was chiefing inside my house, and he sent me a note. He's like, it was 3 a.m, and all we could smell was this weed smell. And I was like, dude, I was cutting logs at 3 a.m. There's no way it was me. And I was like, it was probably that skunk that you smelled there, because I smelled the skunk outside. That woke me up. I've had skunk.
I've had it happen outside my bedroom window. Holy shit! That's horrible.
Just a quick show note. Starting in November, I just got the note.
Oh,
actually,
live updates
will be an hour long, starting in November.
Oh, nice.
So
very good.
We won't be an hour long today.
That's okay. We lost a guest, so that works.
I just found out, though, we're going to be on Talkcast PDX, of course, but we're also going to be on Aftermath.
Hey, very cool.
Yeah,
we're excited.
We're excited to have our show on there. That'll be fun.
And thanks for having us.
Yeah, we thank them for having us. Ryan, doing the leaf thing. How's the writing going?
Yeah, it's been good, man. Lining up those strains of the month and doing some nice pairings. Edible issue is coming up after this harvest issue.
I was going to ask you, can you tell us anything that you probably not tell us?
Not too much. Keep an eye out. The harvest issue is going to be really fun. I think we cram some pages in there just to include more farms and things like that.
Probably always my favorite issue.
And now that
it's like Playmate of the Year,
it really is. Like those extra centerfolds are pretty nice, right? Yeah. It's so funny going from being that 16-year-old in Borders books hiding the high times behind whatever popular mechanics or whatever to now saying, hey, keep an eye out for the edibles issue. We got to eat handfuls of this stuff to produce these content. The concentrates issue took a little recovery time. I'll say that much.
Okay. And just to push it a little bit, we'll have to push Ricker and Wes from the Leaf Life podcast. We'll have to do a little cross podcast.
Yeah, let's do a little Jetsons Flintstones thing. I think that would be fun with the old Stonies for sure. Yeah.
I've seen pictures of their pretty nice studio up there where they can smoke down like they're smoking up big time. Someday, well, we wouldn't even be able to do it really unless we owned everything here, because Portland is that whole clean air thing.
Clean Air Act. You gotta be careful. That's still keeping us from the social.
We'll just get smoke buddies for everybody.
There we go.
We'll just sit in here banging away.
Can we just treat it like the old hotel rooms that put like a shower cap over the smoke detector?
I'd like to wish Michigan a happy Halloween. They're on the 30th. They get to have a party. They get to go to a park. They get to have vendors. They get to buy weed from those vendors, and they get to smoke it right there.
In Michigan?
Really?
Holy shit. Nice. Just when you think you live in a progressive state, huh?
Right. Matt, that's your homework assignment. Get somebody from that thing on our show.
Well, I want to get our show over onto that thing, man.
Well, that too. That's the first step. But so you can find Ryan at the Loud 100 on Instagram. You can also check out your podcasts. All your past episodes from this last season are on talkcastpdx.com. We're going to get through this month and then a new season in November, right?
Yeah. I'm stoked. Got some great guests that we're lining up for that, and should be talking about cannabis and food and all the other things. So really looking forward to it. Yeah.
Cool. At the Loud 100 on Instagram. Check it out. I think that's pretty much going to do it for the old Stonies today. We hope we'll see Rue next week.
Yep.
From growyour4.com. Check that out. That's all about the Southern Oregon Home Growers Cup, which is pretty cool, I think. And we'll get that going here too, I think. That's the thing we got to do.
I want to go check that out.
We got to do
absolutely.
that. Until next time, well, actually, thank you so much for listening and watching the Old Stoney's podcast. Make sure and go to talkcastpdx.com. Check out all the past episodes. Catch the audio at talkcastpdx.com or wherever you listen to podcasts. Go check it out. And until next time, for Matt Cristione, I'm Justin McDonald, Brian Heron.
Great talking with you guys.
Keep on smoking.